Hello everyone, welcome to English Shorthand classes. Exercise 25. Get ready for the dictation. Start. It is the case of express newspapers that during the dark days of the emergency express newspapers and its owner at that time, Mr. Ramnath Goenka had stood up to the excesses of the then government stop. This had saddled them with the consequences of a notice of re-entry dated 10th March 1980 to the land where Express Building is situated in the Bahadur Shah Jafar Marg, New Delhi stop. It was alleged in the said notice that express newspapers did not take approval from the Land and Development Officer or Ministry of Works and Housing regarding construction on the open portion of the plot stop. This re-entry was directed by virtue of a notice issued on 10th March 1980, which was dealt by the Supreme Court in its historic and seminal judgment stop. The notices of re-entry and demolition were held to be impinging upon the fundamental rights guaranteed under Article 19 within bracket 1 within bracket A and within bracket G of the Constitution of India stop. The relevant observations of the Supreme Court are set out below stop. Here the very threat is to the existence of a free and independent press stop. It is now firmly established by a series of decisions of this court and is a rule written into the Constitution that freedom of the press is comprehended within the right to freedom of speech and expression guaranteed under Article 19 within bracket 1 within bracket A, and I do not wish to traverse the familiar ground over again except to touch upon certain landmark decisions stop. In Ramesh Thapar versus State of Madras, the court observed that the founding fathers realized that freedom of speech and of the press are at the foundation of all democratic organizations, for without free political discussion, public education, so essential for proper functioning of the processes of popular government, is possible stop. Our government set up being elected, limited and responsible, we need requisite freedom of any diversion for our social interest, which ordinarily demands free propagation of views stop. Freedom to think as one likes and to speak as one thinks are as a rule indispensable to the discovery and separate of truth, and without free speech discussion may be futile stop. I would only like to stress that the freedom of thought and expression and the freedom of the press are not only valuable freedoms in themselves but are basic to a democratic form of government stop. It is necessary to emphasize, and one must not forget, that the vital importance of freedom of speech and expression involves the freedom to dissent to a free democracy like ours stop. Democracy relies on the freedom of the press. Stop. It is the inalienable right of everyone to comment freely upon any matter of public importance. Stop. This right is one of the pillars of individual liberty, freedom of speech, which our court has always unfailingly guarded. Stop. I wish to add that however precious and cherished the freedom of speech is under Article 19 within bracket 1 within bracket A, this freedom is not absolute and unlimited at all times and under all circumstances, but is subject to the restrictions contained in Article 19 within bracket 2. Stop. In Bennett that must be
case
so because
the court indicated
unrestricted
that the
freedom
extent
of
permissible
speech and expression
which
on this
includes
freedom
the freedom
are indicated
of the
by
press
the
and
fundamental
is
law
wholly free
of
from
the land
restraints,
itself,
which
amounts
Article
to uncontrolled
19 within bracket 2
license which
of
would
the Constitution.
lead to
Stop.
disorder.
It was
and
laid down
anarchy
that
permissible
and it would
restrictions
be
hazardous
on any
to
fundamental
ignore
right
the vital
guaranteed
importance
under Part
of our
3 of the
social and
Constitution
national
have to be
interest in
imposed
public
by
order
a duly
and security
enacted
of the
law
state
and must
Stop.
not be excessive, that is, they must not go beyond what is necessary to achieve the object of the law under which they are sought to be imposed. Stop. The power to impose restrictions on fundamental rights is essentially a power to regulate the exercise of these rights. Stop. In fact, regulation and not extinction of that which is to be regulated is, generally speaking, the extent to which permissible restrictions may go in order to satisfy the test of reasonableness. Stop. The court also dealt with the extent of permissible limitations on the freedom of speech and expression guaranteed under Article 19 within bracket 1 within bracket A. Stop. The test laid down by the court in Bennett Coleman case is whether the direct and immediate impact of the impugned action is on the freedom of speech and expression guaranteed under Article 19 within bracket 1 within bracket A, which includes the freedom of the press. Stop. It was observed that the restriction on the number of pages, a restraint on circulation, and a restraint on advertisements would affect the fundamental right under Article 19 within bracket A within bracket 1 on the aspects of propagation, publication, and circulation. The court held that the tests of pith and substance of a newspaper in repelling the contention fundamental rights. Stop.